But you never know that you could. And when you feel that way, ain't it good, good dancing in the red and gold. Dancing in the red and gold.
What's up, Faithful? Welcome to another episode of the 49er Faithful UK Live. As always, I'm your host, Paul Hope. And joining me tonight, I have a returning guest. Following her successful debut last week, I'm delighted that Jessica has agreed to come back on so we can look more in depth into her journey as a 49ers fan. But before we get started into all that, how are you doing tonight, Jessica?
Oh, good. I'm really excited to be back again. So quick as well. Yeah, really excited to be joining you again. Thanks for having me again.
No, thank you for coming back on. So nobody wants to listen to just me waffle on. Lee, Gareth and Nadji are taking some well-earned time off. But obviously last week you joined us to talk all things goldmine, which is one of my favourite topics to talk about. I could talk for hours and hours. Now, where I wanted to start is probably where people aren't thinking I'm going to start. I know there's the connection with your dad and Jim Tomsula, as we were talking off air with Lee's epic thumbnail. But I wanted to know more about your interview with Brianna, because we talked about that in last week's show. And like Lee, we were interviewed for about 5-10 minutes. So I've only seen your 10-second clip on the one that the 49ers put out there. So if you don't mind, I'm going to hand over to you to tell us a bit more about what Brianna asked you and how you felt that went.
Yeah, I mean, it was really good. It was really cool. I think that's the best way of describing it, I think. So we sort of did like a nice sort of intro, how I got into NFL in general, and then obviously where the 49ers connection comes in. And then we just spoke a little bit more about the decision to come over, really. I think that was the main aspect of it. I think a bigger thing with me, I've had this said to me as well, you know, we didn't expect a 23-year-old girl to come alone to San Francisco to watch NFL. I think that was quite a shock to some people. So we spoke about that, which was really good. Why I came over, why I wanted to, and then sort of, did I like California? Did I like San Francisco? How was I finding it? I think, again, like we spoke last week, what else had I got up to? Like I said, basketball and some sightseeing and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think it was just a really cool experience. I haven't really done anything like that before. And like I said, it's always good to get a different perspective of it. I think a lot of sport fans in general, specifically NFL, are a certain demographic maybe. So yeah, really cool to sort of rep a different perspective maybe, I think.
Yeah, so obviously none of us knew that we were going to be interviewed. And like you said there, you're fairly new to our group. So when Lee put together the Goldmine trip, there was talk, should we do a podcast at Levi's? Should we do a live show from the Golden Gate Bridge? But as we talked last week, the weather on the Friday and the Saturday didn't lead to that. And selfishly for me, Jessica, with it being my first trip to Levi's, I said to Lee before we went, I kind of didn't want any distractions on that Sunday. I wanted to go and soak it all up. So when Lee came across and was like, right, guys, they've asked for 5 of us to be interviewed. And then obviously we get thrust into meeting Brianna, who I know, as Lee said, a hero of ours. She does the team stuff. She's on social media. Similar to you, she asked me similar questions, which, like Lee said last week, he thought they said Lee had to go first, so we'd all lead in. Now, I do have to admit, I thought the finished product that they put out was pretty impressive. It's been seen at least 25,000 times on YouTube. I've watched it more than once, not going to lie, and I've shared it.
You watching it again and again.
Yeah. So I've shared it on many of the platforms, and I still get goosebumps now when I went on the People Like Us, and they showed the clip on their show. So that it's on the 49ers YouTube channel that has 2.3 million subscribers, and then you jump into the comments, and people are still blown away that we all made the journey 5,000 miles across the pond. So a lot of people, after you came on last week, did reach out to us and say, we need to know more about that. So thank you for starting off on there. Now, you talked about how you became a Niner with your dad and Jim Tomsula. Now,
Yeah.
Lee isn't joining us tonight, and Lee definitely wants to know more. I know he's in the chat. I'm just checking my phone now. He sent me a message. Now, what Lee wants to know first, does your dad still have any ties in the world of American football?
Yeah. Yeah, so he does. So like I said last week, so he used to work for the Claymores. He was the equipment manager there, and that's sort of how I got into it anyway, sort of growing up. Yeah, so he still does have ties. He actually works all the international games now. So there's sort of a group of staff that they have. I don't know the specifics and the ins and outs, but so that basically means him and a load of guys, again, sort of from those NFL Europe days, work the London games. Last year he was flown out for the Germany game, again same this year, and then didn't happen last year, did it? But a couple of years ago now, Mexico as well. They always get flown out for the Mexico games. So that's really cool as well. And I actually was lucky enough when I was I think I was 18, 19, my first year at university, I had a research module that I had to do, and part of it was doing a work experience, and I actually got to do my work experience at a NFL game, which was unbelievable. I think it was the coolest gig in the year, definitely, I've got to say. It was a Jags game at Wembley that I got to do, and it was shadowing the event management team. And so I only did it for the weekend, like the long weekend over the game. But it was just, going in on the Friday and the Saturday, sort of joining in meetings, seeing what they do. Literally as boring as, going around, checking out the lights working, the sound is working, all that kind of stuff. They do if you've been to a London game, they have the Jag mascot jump off the stadium. They did like a trial of that to make sure that's all running. And they do a meeting every single day on the run up to London games, where they have one member of each department join and basically give a rundown of the day, make sure, everything's going well. So I got to join those as well, which again, just really, really cool. Nothing too crazy, like no crazy stories or anything, but really, really cool. And again, obviously it's hard not being your team, but still just that excitement was great. And on the day as well, obviously I had like a sideline pass, so I was right on the field for the anthem and kickoff and that kind of stuff. Where I was standing was literally where their office is, literally standing right next to the locker room. So they're all just walking past me, all the players, saying when the game finished, they all walked past me to leave. And it's different, isn't it? Obviously not your team, but still incredibly, incredibly cool. So that was great. Yeah.
I think it probably worked in your favour that it wasn't your team, because the late Dan Harris, who isn't with us anymore, he ran Let's Talk Sports, and he had media credentials, and I got offered the chance to go down for the Vikings London game last year, but I was like, it's a lot of expense, it's not my team. And then a few other people took up the opportunity, and they were taking selfies with players, asking for autographs, and it's kind of frowned upon. So I suppose if you're in that venue as work experience, and it was the Niners, being told you could be that close to them, but not
honestly,
being able to kind of like take photos and stuff.
Heartbreaking, wouldn't it? Yeah. So like maybe that is actually better. I haven't thought of it like that before. So definitely, and even seeing the ins and outs. I mean, coming to London, it's half the operation of what it is in America, I imagine. Wembley wasn't obviously built for the NFL. Tottenham maybe more so, but it's things like they even have to build in Wembley a sort of level for like the the coaches that sit up the top, and the some of the media and that kind of thing, and they literally build it for the weekend or for the 2 weeks that they're there. And just seeing all that stuff and how that all works is absolutely insane to see what goes on behind. And then you can obviously only imagine what is actually like on a Sunday in America. It's probably absolute chaos. So I probably got to take in more of it not being the Niners and not being so starstruck or worried about the game. It was definitely nice to see it from a more outside perspective, I guess.
Yeah, because I mean, I get friends and family who go down to the stadium tours. So Tracy's brother-in-law is a mad Tottenham fan, and they went and did the stadium tour a couple of weeks ago. And I got sent the pictures of the Niners jersey hung up in the Tottenham stadium. They were saying the same as you, that seeing it behind the scenes, even as Tottenham fans, seeing the the explanation at the field, gets changed, locker room. And I've not been fortunate enough to make it down for a London game yet, because I've kind of always hoped for the Niners to come. Obviously, last year I had the choice of, do I go to London or do I go to San Francisco? So the reason Yeah. So the reason I asked if your dad was still involved, I
Yeah.
forgot to mention it last week. So the news is out that I'm starting my tentative steps into coaching. So
Yeah.
I'm Darlington born. I live in Middlesbrough, but Darlington Steam are an American football team based in Darlington, and they reached out and asked if I'd be interested in coaching the cadet and the flag team. So I'm 2 sessions in, Jessica. I'm nowhere near Carl
How's
Shanahan.
it going? Is it good so
I
far?
Yeah, it's been quite interesting because obviously I've played flag, I've done the podcasts, I've been around the sport for 10 years. So to kind of be working with the kids and it
Yeah.
seems to come natural. We talked off air. I used to play English football, soccer, for those that want to know. I've coached kids at that sport. So
Yeah.
I am finding it. I'm not at the level of your dad and the Scottish Claymores, but you've got to start somewhere. So that's the new nickname James has given me, Coach Pablo. And he says hello to yourself as well. Now, before we get back on track, Britt asked for the link to the interview. So I think Lee has DM'd the link. So it isn't the full interview. As we said, they kind of cut all that we did and they did a better job than I could with my iPhone. But yes, cheers for sorting that out, Lee. And as Britt put there, there's no choice. San Francisco
Easy.
would be the choice. But that was an epic work experience trip. I mean, I
Oh,
work.
wasn't it?
I mean, I'm 44 this year, so I am going back. But when I was 16, I remember doing a work experience at a local health club in the
Mhm.
northeast of England. My highlight was that Wimbledon was on, and because I was only
Oh,
16 and health and safety was just like kind of a new thing back then, they just
yeah.
plugged me into the TV, and I watched Wimbledon for the full summer. I think it was the year Agassi won Wimbledon. Showing my
Uh-huh.
age, knew nothing about tennis, but it certainly beat going to school. But your story definitely beats that. So I do want to ask you some more questions about your fandom and your journey into the wonderful and weird world of American football. Now, again, I'll give Lee his credit. He wants to know about the sporting events that you did in
Yeah.
2017. So you did say off air that you're happy to share that story. So
Yeah.
if you don't mind, it keeps Lee happy. And as he's the boss,
Yeah.
Jessica, I like to keep
Yeah,
him happy.
definitely. So my background is actually soccer. I'll just call it soccer. I think it's easier to differentiate on here. So sort of again, grew up watching it, loving it. Started playing properly when I was 16. I played semi-professionally for a couple of years at QPR. Loved it. Played at uni, all that kind of stuff. I also worked for QPR when I was started at 17. Again, coaching and just love that sort of passing that on to the kids kind of thing. And we were approached by an organisation, Centrepoint, they're a charity at the time, and they were offering places in what was called Team England. And there wasn't too much information about it. It was all about, it's called street football, which is a four-a-side soccer game. And yeah, they were offering a couple of places on this team. And so me and my friends were kind of up for it. And it was sort of, I guess, for people who were maybe, socially excluded sometimes, or felt, maybe to be sort of on the outside of things sometimes, just giving more people that kind of opportunity. And especially as well for sort of other demographics that maybe are not represented in mainstream sports or media or whatever that might be. And so, yeah, a few of two of my friends were signed up for it. And essentially what it was going to a few training camps at St. George's Park, which was an unbelievable experience. That was amazing. And then there was a few tournaments. And it was basically different people selected for different tournaments. There was one tournament in Portugal. It was just a soccer tournament. And then the one in Oslo was the Street Football Homeless World Cup, they call it. So it was essentially representing England in a World Cup. That's what I kind of like to say. It was, so four-a-side game. I think the women came 7th or 8th, about 30, 40 teams. So not too bad. It's one of those things you can only go once. You can only represent your country once, which is nice. I like that kind of rotation. And yeah, it's all about, I guess, that community again, that bringing people together. And again, when we did those sort of training camps, I guess, you do sort of sessions as well about bringing people together, community, all that kind of stuff. And it was just, it was great. I mean, anytime you get to go to another country, I guess, even to see sport, watch sport, just your passion, really. I think that's great. Getting to do it with friends, even better. Just having that experience was incredible. It was amazing from start to end. It was about a year process. Absolutely great.
So knowing how Lee's mind works, and I said to you off air, we like to keep the Wednesday live quite fluid. If it's too scripted, it wouldn't need to be live. Now, I think the reason he's linking that in is you've mentioned their community, watching
Yeah.
sport abroad, being a big part. Now, we want to know, because it's well documented, my story, falling out of love with English football, soccer, as you called it, and stepping into American football. In the Discord group this afternoon, someone was chatting about the Euros, and I was like, I'm not watching it. And they're like, really, Paul? Do you not
Yeah.
do football? And I'm like, seriously, Jessica, I don't do football at all. Jasmine's 13. She shows a loose interest. If she wanted to watch it, I'd watch it with her. When I say loose interest, her dad's a Manchester United fan. The FA Cup final was on Saturday. Neither of them watched it. So, but when they won, she put the jersey on. So I'm shaming her there. Told her I'd shame her on live on air. But I think what Lee wanted to know is the transition from, you were that heavily involved, semi-professional, represent your country. So why American football?
Yeah, and you know what? I guess it wasn't necessarily a transition as such, though. I do absolutely love both, and I think there is space for loving both. I definitely still follow soccer, if you will. I haven't been to a game in forever, so maybe that's the sort of aspect that's kind of fallen out a little bit. And so I'm talking about the Euros. I'll potentially go to an England game or two. But that's probably just because it's at the pub. That's the big draw, isn't it? But yeah, I don't know what it was really. And I think my love for NFL and American football and Niners in general has definitely grown quite significantly, especially the past couple of years. And I don't know if it's just because as I've gotten older, I've kind of learnt the rules a bit more, and I think that always makes it a bit more interesting, or again, discovered the group and sort of had that community. It's always nice to share things with people, isn't it? It's, like we said last week, it was the goldmine experience and that was amazing, but it's also getting to meet those new people, and we all have that shared experience now, and we can pass that on to others and hopefully encourage others to go as well. So I definitely think, finding this group was a big influence in my love for this and sort of having it grow like that. But yeah, definitely both. I do love both. But yeah, I think that's why it's grown. My love's grown so much recently.
There's nothing wrong with liking both. It's just
No,
Tracy. I know you're watching. Tracy would kill me, Jessica, if I did another sport. But obviously, I do the podcasts. I do the social media. You, like me, have stepped your toe into the admin team. So I remember when Lee asked me to be an admin member, and you kind of think, what does he want me to do? But then you feel this love for the group, and you start commenting a bit more. You start noticing a few more comments. As you've said, the community. Now, the community is important because you've mentioned there the Euros. You might nip down the pub and watch England play. But being 49ers fans, we have 2 6:00 games this year. So a big part of being an NFL fan in the UK, I always find it quite a lonely existence at times. If we're playing at 1 a.m, Tracy and the girls are going to bed, I'm sat downstairs trying to be quiet. The group is a godsend. You can go on the game day thread. You can jump in DMs. Me, Lee, Brett, Jay Petlaw, Connor Ryan, and messaging backwards and forwards. And I don't feel like I'm watching it on my own.
Yeah, so definitely.
One of the questions I had for you tonight is, how does NFL Sunday look in your house? So not going down to the pub, not going to a meet-up, just a normal game at home. Say we're on at 1 a.m, so you have to watch it at home. Talk us through what your NFL Sunday looks like.
Yeah, definitely. I think it is so interesting you say that, because it does start at sort of 6 p.m. onwards, doesn't it? It's not a full day thing, or maybe it's a full day thing, but if you wake up at 9, 10 in the morning, it's a long wait sometimes, especially on playoffs and Super Bowl, and that nerves are just growing all day. I must admit, I don't watch every single game religiously, so every week is definitely different. For me, I try and watch it on big TV downstairs if it's a later game. Everyone's gone to sleep. Red Zone always. yeah, I think it's just the latest start. The do you sit there, dress up in your jersey, or like you say, do we have other people to message and watch it with? I know you said not necessarily this, but I do, if I can go out and watch it, I will. I do love that atmosphere. Obviously, again, it's harder, isn't it, in the UK to find places that are open that late or showing it, that kind of thing. But yeah, I think just supporting as you can. If you can stream it, if you can watch it on Red Zone, yeah.
So are you superstitious? Because Tracy always laughs. So if we're at home and we're wearing the red jersey, I wear
Yeah,
the red jersey. If we're
right.
wearing a throwback jersey, I wear the throwback jersey. And she'll kill me for sharing this, but she'll be like, "You're an idiot. Why are you wearing your jersey at 1 a.m. to watch?" And equally, if say I wear 97 and we lose, then that can't be worn the next week.
That's
And
been, yeah.
I have to wear the colour of what we're wearing, and it drives Tracy mad. So that's a little superstition of mine. I like to watch it on the big telly downstairs. A couple of years ago, I kind of went through the multi-screen setup. So I'd have Red Zone on one, I'd have a game on the other. But when the Niners run, I'd switch all them off and I'd focus just on the Niners game. And then with doing the pods, I end up kind of, I think not last season, the season before, I tried to make notes as the game went on, but trying to watch the game, be a fan, watch them with the
Yeah,
emotion and messaging everyone in the group. I've decided not to do that now. So when I watch a game, Jessica, I literally watch it as
yeah.
a fan.
Take it
And
all
then
in, yeah.
the next day, what I love about Game Pass, you can go back, watch the game in 40.
Yeah.
Then I make my notes, and then win, lose, or draw, I get to chat to Gareth, Nadji,
Yeah.
and Lee, and I get to dissect it all. And like you said, I think my knowledge of the game is growing, which is what I
Yeah.
like. But I just wanted to know a little bit about your routine, and you've answered that a little bit there. So, with you being London based, is it easier for you to find venues that show the NFL?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously, especially when it comes to playoffs, it's very easy. I think venues, especially, even stay open later as it starts to get to more quote serious games. But I've always found the Empire Casino in Leicester Square. They're a 24-hour venue, so they will often show NFL in general, not even Niners, if anybody's looking for NFL. They're a good one. I think some people go to the Hippodrome as well. I think any sort of 24-hour casinos tend to be the ones sort of open those times that show it. Those are good ones. And I mean, maybe I do have the sort of luck of being in London that you get that it's something's open, you'll find something. But yeah, no, I don't have any superstitions actually, so I don't have anything necessarily that I have to do or wear. I actually only have a red jersey, so maybe if I got another one, maybe that would start to creep in a little bit. But yeah,
It's a slippery slope. I'm already looking at
yeah,
a new jersey ahead of the new season. Now, Lee's asked a question, but before I put that on the screen, the reason I asked you about the London is being northern based for us, if we hold a mini meet, we go to a casino. Because like you said,
yeah,
there's obviously the 24-hour license. Obviously, for me to travel to London is quite expensive. I wish I
yeah,
could go to London every week. I know other fans, Andy Davies, who's a Miami Dolphins fan, would love to meet up and watch a game with him. And
yeah,
I see it in the group sometimes when we're talking about meetups. People who are
yeah,
London based always tend to ask, why isn't there a London meetup? And I think there is members in London. And sometimes you've got to take that step, I find anyway, of
yeah,
going to a venue, Niners
yeah.
jersey on, share it in the group. Like you said,
Oh,
you kind of took the extreme step of thinking, I fancy San Francisco. I'm going on that plane with
yeah,
39 others. But, you know, if we had a London watch party this year, you would feel confident coming to that now because you feel like you know people in the group. You wouldn't
yeah,
be a total stranger. So, anybody watching who's London based, honestly, in the season, if you fancy heading out, Jessica's mentioned a couple of places, drop us
yeah.
a DM. We'll obviously put the feelers out. Now, Lee has asked, have you tried fantasy football? Because he feels makes Red Zone more interesting when you've got skin in the game. Is it something you
Yeah.
do?
No, I haven't. So again, I've sort of dabbled in fantasy football, as in soccer, but not NFL. But I definitely think so. I think again, as my love for the game in general has grown more, I've started to know more players in general and sort of I mean, like I said to you again off air, like I don't know all the rules, I don't know everything about the draft, but I think as you do get into it a bit more, you do just happen to pick up more names and sort of see more stats, and so you do kind of just pick it up naturally. So maybe that is something I'll have to try this season and just give it a go, because I think it would make it more interesting, wouldn't it? It'd make it not so Niners focused, you don't have to be so nervous, a bit more fun.
Well, we do have a couple of leagues in our group, which I don't think Lee's heard before, Jessica, but there's only been one 2-time champion.
I was going to say who's winning, who's the leader.
So Lee will be cringing now. So we had there was certain divisions, and then there was like a Champions League, and I won my fantasy football, and then I won the Champions League in the same season. I'm never ever going to let him live that down. He'll be throwing something at the TV now. He'll probably jump on in a minute. I mean, this is the polite version. I'll probably have a text message with a bit more expletives in.
I can imagine.
All jokes aside, but I mean, when I first got into fantasy football, it definitely helped me. Like you said, you can't just focus on the Niners. And I have a live redraft league in my hometown. And in the first couple of years, I would just pick Niners players, and they would just laugh at me. It's like, why are you picking Niners players? So, and as Dan has put there, he's always got the sleeper app, which tends to be the go-to for fantasy football, running on his iPad while watching Red Zone and the Niners. And he says that it definitely adds to it. Now, I'm going to throw a rabbit hole here, which James has mentioned, which leads it nicely to your dad. So James has put there that if it hadn't been for a left shoulder injury, he could have made the cut with the Scottish Claymores at a recruitment camp in 1993. He says he played offensive tackle for the Dunfermline Wildcats and Fife 49ers. So that could be quite interesting. It sounds as if his path could have crossed with your dad's.
Yeah, exactly. And I put a post up on the page last week, and he said something similar. So it's just such a small world, isn't it? I've always found this with soccer, but then I think same with any sort of passion you have, isn't it? The more you learn, the more you grow. There's these connections that you could have crossed paths somewhere, or someone in your family, you could know someone through someone else, and it is such a small world, which is just incredible.
So do you often see other NFL fans in London? So I said to Jessica, I went to the Metro Centre this afternoon with Tracy and the girls. It's normally a 45-minute journey, but coming home, there'd been an accident, so it was hell on earth. I was walking around the Metro Centre, Golden State Warriors top today, because the girls always laugh at me for wearing Niners gear. Bumped into a Tampa Bay, well, what I thought was a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan in Primark. Disclaimer, the £12 T-shirts, Newcastle Primark in the Metro Centre had thousands of them. So if you want one, head there. I didn't post that in the group at the time because I thought people will start texting me, telling me to pick the one up. And I was like, I'm here with Tracy and the girls. But straight away, Jessica was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I was like, you're wearing a Tampa Bay top. You've got to be an NFL fan. And Tracy kind of just rolls her eyes. But she came with me to Edinburgh for the infamous meat party with the Saints. And she was blown away by the amount of times someone with an NFL hat or hoodie would just come over and start talking football. And in our relationship we met in 2018, she's quite impressed by the fact that NFL fans will talk to each other. There's no kind of rivalry like you get in English soccer. So I just wondered, with you being based in London, because I went a couple of years ago and I had my white Kittle jersey on, I had my residency hat, I had my flag, I walked on Tower Bridge, I walked on the Tower of London, didn't see one NFL fan. And I was absolutely devastated. So is it something you see often, or?
Do you know what it is? I think it's probably more often in London than elsewhere, but I still think it's rare enough that when you see someone, you go, oh, and you kind of, it's there's someone wearing this jersey. I think it's still that kind of thing, which is interesting. And sort of going back a little bit, like you said about just wearing a jersey out and going to watch a game, someone will come up and chat to you if you've got a jersey on, like, that it's just an instant connection, isn't it? And I guess, again, like we said, it's interesting because people could just be wearing things because they like it, rather than actually supporting the team. And what I've seen pop up more and more, actually, I think I saw on H&M a little while ago, is those T-shirts and hoodies that have the patches of like every team everywhere. And it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, as someone who actually supports, you would never wear that ever. So I like that it's ambition that they're trying to sell it, and I don't know if people do actually buy it, but I think that's quite interesting. But yeah, I still think it is sort of like a rarity that you kind of spot it and realize it. And I was on holiday, I was in Tokyo in February, and I saw a Vikings fan. That was the only fan I saw the whole time there, but still, again, it was enough to be like, oh, there's someone in a jersey there. So yeah, no, I do still think it is actually quite a rarity. And even then, like we said, it could just be for fashion, especially hats. I think maybe jerseys are different. I feel like jerseys are, you spend a bit more money, you probably do support. But if we're talking about t-shirts, hats, I feel like it's quite in fashion at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, he has a Tampa Bay jersey. I can't say anything. Martin Hughes will probably be laughing. I mean, I have a loose interest in the NBA. In the summer, I like to wear an NBA jersey. It's loose fitting. There's no sleeves. Now, I have 7 NBA jerseys. I am not loyal to any team, Jessica. But the disclaimer is, I'm not a fan. As a Niners fan, I wouldn't be wearing any of the gear. I'm a Niners fan through and through. Like you said, that hoodie. I have a couple of mates in Darlington who are like, who would buy that? But you can, like, walk around Primark today. They had the Niners t-shirt for 12 quid. They had the Chiefs t-shirt in the kids range. They had Golden State. They had Tampa Bay. They had Raiders. Now, if I see anyone in Raiders gear, I just don't speak to them at all, because it's normally, like you said, if they're wearing a Raiders hat, it's just to me like the New York Yankees hat.
Yeah.
So you just
100%.
kind of stay well away. James has put here, which you're probably laughing at, that James is a bus driver as well. So it sounds as if he's got a lot in common with your dad.
Yeah, my dad left to be a bus driver. He's moved on to other things now, but yeah, he did move on to be a bus driver, funnily enough.
So before we dive into Would You Rathers and other areas, I think we touched upon last week that your love for the Niners began with Jim Tomsula.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm aware of the story, and you touched upon it last week. But before we play the advert from our sponsors and we go down Would You Rather, it would be wrong of me not to kind of ask you a little bit more about that, because it's quite unusual. I mean, I've got number 7 hung up over my shoulder there. He's the reason I'm a Niners fan. I fell in love with Colin Kaepernick, so that's my connection to the team. Your connection is Jim Tomsula, which to some people, they might be like, Jim Tomsula?
Yeah, very rogue. And also, like I said last week, I know he didn't obviously leave on the best note, and a lot of fans aren't a fan of him necessarily. So yeah, it was when my dad was at the Claymores, he was also working there at the time, and they were good friends. And obviously, because me and my mum were up there, she was good friends with his wife, and we used to sort of go and do days out with his daughters, and I'm still friends with his daughters. I still have them on social media, and so one of them was liking my posts when we were in San Francisco and that kind of stuff. So that's where that kind of connection comes from. And I've actually got a picture as well of, I went to the Niners game, it was 2013, was it, when they came over and played the Jags? I went to that game. I've got a picture of me, my dad, and Jim Tomsula. So that's where that link comes from. It is definitely rogue and a little bit random, but he's at Ryan Fire now, and he's doing a great job. They just won the last season.
I was just going to say the same as Lee, Jessica. I loved him as a coach. I mean, my journey at the Niners began, like you said, that Jaguar game. My daughter was only 6 months old, and naively I thought, she's only 6 months old. She's born with a hole in her heart. I'm not going to go all the way to London from Darlington. They'll be back. And that kind of was my thought process to last year, because I turned that down when I looked at the goldmine opportunity. I'd always vowed to myself, if I get offered that opportunity again, I've got to take it. Now, I know people watching will be like, but the goldmine wasn't a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, because we've applied for it again this year. Update, we haven't had a response yet. So for those people waiting on the goldmine this year, once we know, we'll let you know. But I wanted to be in the first one, Jessica. You know, the kind of the first cohort who went across. And I kind of look forward to, if the group get it this year, watching from afar as kind of a proud father. Thinking, and I want people who may not have experienced it yet to get that opportunity, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. Like Lee said as well, if I was able to go over again, and I'd happily give up a spot for someone else in the gold mine. And what I love about this kind of stuff is that, I mean, obviously, we went last year, and people maybe go as a group with the gold mine this year, or not go as gold mine, but go over again. And it's only you guys have that memory exactly as it was, which is just incredible. And only, yes, we can share our stories and tell you how amazing it was, but only we know we have those feelings and know how incredible it truly was. So yeah, definitely that's what I'll always say. Go and do it. Go to a meetup, go even to a London game, go out and watch a game regular season at a casino or a meetup. Just, yeah, absolutely do it and get involved.
So Lee's put there that picture would have been handy for his thumbnail. He would have had to Photoshop the rose between two thorns if you haven't seen. Lee, well done with the Photoshop, buddy. James has put there that he's still got his Claymores jersey. He's got a Cowdenbeath, Man City strip, San Francisco Giants jersey, and of course, several Niners jerseys. Now, that led me on one of the questions I wanted to ask you, but you might have already answered it. Now, you said you've only got a red jersey. Is that your first 49ers jersey?
No, so I've got my other one here as well, but I was saying this when I went over to San Francisco, I took both of my jerseys. This one, so I've got a Purdy one, and I took my old one over. But this is my old one. Unfortunately, it is a Jimmy Garoppolo jersey.
Nothing wrong with that. I had two Jimmy jerseys.
So that is my original one. So I do still have that. But yeah, this is my second one. So I've got, Jimmy G and Purdy, my two that I've got.
Quarterback. So the glass cabinet behind me, Jessica, the bobbleheads of Jimmy is still in there. I was a massive Jimmy G fan. Neil Watson was bigger than me, but I had two Jimmy jerseys. He was my daughter's first jersey. I expected Jimmy to be here for a long time. So Jimmy was your first jersey, I'm guessing. I was going to ask what your favourite jersey is, but I'm guessing it's Brock Star at the moment, number 13.
Yeah, loving Purdy at the moment. But I think maybe I need a white one or a throwback one or I don't know, something different maybe. I think I need to invest in something slightly different.
The white throwback is my favourite jersey. I'm going Club 85, that one. As soon as they announced that one, I just fell in love with it. And I used to get the Vapor Limited, all stitched jerseys, and then they changed the manufacturing. So I get the Game Fit jersey where it's all part of the jersey, and it fits like a soccer shirt. So it fits a little bit more. So that's one I had on in the gold mine. So Colin has joined us, and he went to 3 Claymores games, 2 at Murrayfield, 1 at Hampden. And Britt is saying that she wants Purdy to be her first jersey. And Stephen has pulled the trigger. Connor Ryan, you need to get your finger out, son.
I know.
To be honest with you, Jessica, I was looking at a Samuel jersey last year, and I decided not to. And then when he changed it to the number 1, I was like, do I want a single-digit jersey? I don't know whether the one looks good.
Yeah,
and I was showing Tracy. Now, what I expected her to say, Jessica, was, you've got enough jerseys that look stupid. But she actually said, I quite like that. So straight away, I was like, well, if you like it, I'm going to have to get it, Anna. So I think that might be my next purchase. But just load up the video. We've reached that part of the show. Disclaimer for everyone, I do have to do a quick promotion. So we have our awesome partners, Power Brand Systems. They empower creators and businesses to build their brand, attract an audience, and grow through effective systems and software solutions. So just sit back and take these 44 seconds to hear from them.
Ready to generate more leads from your website, Google, and your social channels without having to spend money on ads? Our platform provides you with an easy-to-use communication stream that sucks in free leads from your website, Google, Facebook, and Instagram, enabling you to reply and convert them into customers from your computer or from our mobile app. We'll even turn your inbound calls into text message conversations, so you'll never miss another lead again. Once you've converted a satisfied customer, you can shoot them a Google review request with a click of a button, which will explode your positive reviews and increase your position in search engines. The system will also pull new reviews from Google and Facebook right into your conversation stream, where you can read and reply. Jumpstart your business by getting started today.
Now, I was going to hit you with a would you rather, Jessica, but Lee Gowland, the man in the nose, just dropped the bomb that Joanne Jennings has signed a 2-year deal with the 49ers. So people tuning in tonight might be thinking, it's the off season, you guys aren't talking current 49ers stuff. There's always something to talk about. Now, we won't go too in depth. Jennings is one of my favourites. He had a great Super Bowl. I don't know the terms of the deal. Lee may share them, but are you happy with this news?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's always nice when we have players signing on longer, isn't it? And I know there's been a lot of controversy with Shanahan, but I like to think that we should just trust in our managers, right? And trust that they know what's best. I mean, at the end of the day, we can hate, it's not going to change anything. So I think let's just get behind it.
Yeah, I'm on the same view. I think Keitha dropped a post in the group when I was having a phone-free day. We did the mini golf again. Warned the girls. We have a little family tradition wherever we go, we play mini golf. I am undefeated, Jessica. I am the champion in our family. Today was close, not going to lie. But at Treetop Golf, yeah, you pause for a photo and then they email it to you. So
Yeah.
I did a cheeky check on the group. And I saw some discussion about Shanahan. Now, it's hard for me to get involved in them because I'm a Shanahan fan,
Yeah.
similar to, I was a Tomsula fan, I was a Harbaugh fan. Whoever's our manager will have my support. And especially at this stage of the, May, June, football doesn't start until September. So I'm not going to get too critical. So Lee has joined and said that he's been given a 15.4 million deal, 10.5 guaranteed. And yes, Lee, I'm very competitive. I have to be. To be fair, Tracy scored 2 holes in 1 out of 18 holes. So she wanted me to share that. But she didn't win the prize, Jessica. So
next
time. So we do a little segment on this show called Would You Rather. Some people love it. Some people hate it. Now, I did warn you that I was going to do one of these for you. And I did share off air that my girls like to be evil. But rest assured, Jessica, I've not taken a leaf out of their book. So it's been a few weeks since we've done a Would You Rather, and I've kept mine quite simple. The Niners open the season at home to the New York Jets in prime time. So that means all eyes will be on Levi's. Now, Nick Clark and the team have reached out. You did such an awesome job with Brianna. They want you to lend a hand, come across the pond, be at Levi's opening night. Now, they've got 2 very important jobs. So you're not allowed to say none. You have to pick one of the 2. So it's very simple. Would you rather be Sourdough Sam for the entire game? You've got to do all the things the mascot does. Or would you like to go onto the pitch at the start and sing the national anthem? And I just want to know which one and why.
Wow, that's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, I've always been relatively musically inclined. I've always played piano. Doesn't necessarily mean I can sing. Should I pick the hiding behind the mascot aspect? Is that going to be the better choice? I mean, I've seen people in those mascots. It's hot in there, gets sweaty. I think I might have to go with the mascot. I might have to be Sourdough Sam.
Well, Red Jet Shell is on the same page as you. Now, for context, it's well known that my very good friend Connor Ryan is a confidant of mine. So when he knew you were coming on the show, I texted him last night, Jessica, and I said, I've got this Would You Rather. What would you do? Now, Connor surprised me. He would sing the national anthem. Now, he's probably as tone deaf as I am. There's no way on this planet for any amount of money would I put myself through that. I would do what you do. I think I'd put the mascot on. I think I'd have a lot of fun. And at the end of the day, the way I looked at it is you'd be at pitch side. Because when we were at the game, I saw Sourdough Sam. And you're kind of center of attention, but then you're kind of not because you're the man behind.
Well, you could just walk away after it and no one will have a clue, right? So I think that would be the fun option. Although someone did say singing the national anthem with a flyover would be incredible. But yeah, I think I've got to be the, have a bit of fun, like you said, be pitch side. You could be right up next to the players. I think that would be pretty cool.
So thank you for playing along. Like we said, we used to do it on the show, then we stopped, and then I saw Baldy and the big fella, who were big friends, before they started doing it, and the competitive nature in me, so I thought, I'm taking that. It was our thing. So whether it's just one-on-one, I always like to play along. If you come back, it might not be as nice because Jasmine does have an evil side, and I do have to have a little hand to put these together. Now, I've asked you about your jersey. I've asked you about your routine. One of the questions that I had for you is, what is your go-to 49ers moment? When someone reaches out and says, right, what's your kind of, it can be funny, it can be your best memory. Just, I want one thing that comes to mind that when you think, right, Niners, this is my moment.
Yeah. I mean, is it a bit of a cop out to say goldmine now? I feel like that's probably forever going to be the answer. I mean, just, yeah, of course, first time there, first time seeing, I mean, not be second time seeing sort of the full squad in action, but first time where I'm old enough to really understand and remember everything and sort of be able to recognize individual players and sort of, you know, go, oh, I really like them and that's really cool. Whereas, you know, I don't really remember a thing from the 2013 game. So it's
How old are you for that one?
I would have
2013?
been 13. Yeah, 13.
Yeah,
So,
like how old Jasmine is today. You're just making me feel very old, Jessica. It's allowed. I'm 44 this year, but yeah, no, it's not a cop out. I mean, if someone had asked me before last season, old mind game, I'd have probably said the Joe Staley London watch party, watching a game with Joe, him being in the mosh pit, for want of a better word, high-fiving me, hugging me. Him actually being with the fans was pretty impressive, but being at Levi's for the first time, I'm going to take that answer from you. That's absolutely fine. Now, at this point of the show, I did want to know if you had any questions for me. Now, that is putting you on the spot a little bit. Obviously, if you haven't got any, that's fine. But this is a bit of a, this is your life introduction. But I didn't know whether you had any questions to ask me or the viewers.
Yeah, no, for you and the viewers, I think, I guess what I was thinking of earlier was that I know at the beginning of last season, I saw a lot of screenshots, and I think I might have seen one or two start to pop up of people putting bets on that we're going to win the Super Bowl. And I mean, I guess, what was your view last season or even this season coming? Are you from the off, are you a Super Bowl all the way? Do you sort of, we'll see how it goes, maybe as our records getting a bit better and closer to playoffs, or we might actually do it? What's your, when do you start to really believe that we could do it?
That is a good question, because me and Lee are known for being uber positive. So when we do the season preview show, Lee tends to go 17 or undefeated, breeze through the playoffs, Super Bowl. And I think given the team that we've got at the moment, it's easy to see why people are hyped. Like you said, Kyle Shanahan, you look at the offense, you look at what we've got in defense. I'm always uber positive, and I make no apologies about that. I was the same when Tomsula was the coach. My friends who are non-Niners fans get really cross with me about it. But that was part of my transition from English soccer fan to the NFL, that I fell in love with the sport. And I remember seeing some bad football again. I mean, Chip Kelly, Tomsula. I mean, I remember the Chip Kelly game where Jared Goff was the quarterback for the Rams, and there were those horrible yellow outfits. We had the black, and we played at Levi's Monday Night Football. It was like 1 a.m. And our quarterback at the time, number 2, Brian Hoyer, threw a pick 6 in the first 7 seconds of the game. And I knew we were not winning that game. And it was 1 a.m. I was like, so when people say, why are you so confident now? That's where I've come from as a Niners fan. Yeah. I strongly believe that we are one of the better teams in the NFL. So Jordan has come to my rescue. At this time of the year, I think it's easy to see why we can be seen as Super Bowl champions. Now, I do look forward to OTAs. I look forward to training camp. And then pre-season, probably shock a few people here, Jessica. I don't stay up for the pre-season games. Much to the point where the 10th of August, I share a birthday with the great Martin Hughes. And the Niners are playing the Titans in a pre-season friendly. And I said to Tracy the other day, the Niners are playing on my birthday. And she was like, they never play in August. And I said, no. I never stay up because it's pre-season. Because to me, the pre-season games, Shanahan's quite open. They are literally meaningless. Yeah. So I'm not going to stay up when I know in a month's time when the games, because unlike you, this isn't criticism, I do stay up for them. But my job makes it easy. What I do for a living, I'm able to. If I was a teacher, if I kind of worked in the services, I wouldn't be able to. But I work local authority. I can take flexi time. Yeah. I don't miss a game. But that's just because of how I am. Britt has put there that she wants to be positive from the get-go. She hopes that we get all the way back. Now, I will counteract and say I'm not one of those people that thinks we have to win the Super Bowl or it's the season's been a bust. I loved last year, Jessica, the journey we went on. Now, I'll be honest, when we won in the gold mine game, and then we started putting it together, and then we
Yeah.
came back from behind against the Packers. We
Yeah.
came back from behind against the Lions. I thought the Niners are winning the Super Bowl, and I'm
Yeah.
going to be able to say we were there. So
Yeah.
I did think it was kind of destiny, but maybe it's not. So
Yeah.
I'm going to turn that back on you, because one of my questions was what are your hopes and dreams for the season ahead? So is it Super Bowl or bust for you, or are you just hoping to have another good season like we had last year?
Yeah, I don't know. It's difficult, isn't it, as well? And I think I saw a post in the group recently, basically saying, do we think we've sort of had our best couple seasons, or, do we still have a few more in us, or do you think it's sort of downhill from here? And again, like you said, I mean, what is downhill? Is downhill just less than Super Bowl, or less than championship, or less than playoffs? What does that necessarily mean? I don't know if I'm as positive as you are right from the start. I like to think I am, but even talking about the playoffs, I remember I watched the beginning of that Lions game, and they scored the touchdown. What was it, first couple plays? And I was like, great, absolutely brilliant. And then at halftime, we were down by an awful lot. And again, it was that stat I'm sure everyone knows about. When we're a certain amount down at halftime, I think we've only come back once to actually win it. And it was just like, oh, it's just not going to happen. And then we did. And like you said, it was just the defeating all odds. And really, it was that kind of destiny and really making us believe. And even during the Super Bowl game, it really was, again, that we should have been further ahead than we were. And it was just little things. And so, I don't know. It's hard to say that playoffs would be enough for me, or just having a good season would be enough for me. You always want the best, don't you? You want the Super Bowl every time.
Definitely.
But I think playoffs it's good to be in that, isn't it? At least I think that's definitely a good start. It's just a shame, again, because it's like you're looking at the teams and you're like, I know we can beat these teams. And even looking back at last season, we played the Vikings, and like I said before, my parents are Vikings, and 9 times out of 10 the Niners win when we play the Vikings. But again, we didn't last season. It's just,
I'm going to say that must have been fun in your house, because the Gowland Bowl, we had Lee's brother with us over in San Francisco, and he's a proud Vikings fan. So it was like, oh,
it's so frustrating, isn't it? And again, even with the Super Bowl, when you're playing against such a good team who have, again, won it last year, and it's just like you're looking at it and like, we could be winning this, or we should be winning this. So it's maybe harder in those situations as well, when you're like, we should be winning this, but we're not. But maybe if we just had a good season and just unlucky here and there, and we don't make it all the way, then maybe that is enough.
I mean, fine margins. I love the NFL for that reason. Even in that game, I'm smirking because my friend Andy's a Lions fan. I have the texts. I wasn't giving up. I was texting him at halftime saying, "We've got you right where we want you. This is where we're going." And I even called like where the comeback would start. And then when we scored the first touchdown, he texted me. He was like, well, I can't repeat what he said, but it was going that way. And me and Jay Peplow are known for being more positive in the group. And I think that helps. We've got that balance in the group. We've got a few people who are like, oh, no, that sinking feeling. You've got people like myself who always think we're going to win. I mean, similar to you, the Lions game was obviously the first meetup that I didn't go to. So they had the watch party in Leeds. Lee was hosting, a big moment for Lee. And at halftime, it looked like it was over. The atmosphere in the box in Leeds was,
I can imagine,
not the best.
Yeah.
But the atmosphere at the end was something that will live with them for an ever and ever. And at this stage of the season, there's 31 teams that are unhappy in the NFL because there's only one winner. And when I talk to my work colleagues who still rib me about the NFL, I keep saying there's only one champion. And that's what I love about this sport. English football, you've got the Premier League, the FA Cup, the League Cup, you've got the Champions League. There always seems to be a trophy. Or it always seems to be if we lose that one. But as Colin has put here, you need luck in the playoffs, whether it's injuries, the way the ball could bounce off defenders, which we got
100%.
in that Lions game. Yeah. And yes, Jordan, we always keep the faith. That's what I love about our community. I think sometimes what's good about it is even in a difficult loss, some people can vent, but our group isn't known for being toxic. And I think you can share your opinion in the group. And you mentioned it earlier, the community we've created. And I'm proud that you're part of the community. I wanted to ask, how did it feel to be promoted to admin Was it something you're expecting, or is it just kind of took you by surprise?
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely surprised. And again, I think like you said similarly earlier, you know, when you get asked that kind of thing, it's like, oh, what does it require? Or do I have the qualifications for this? But no, it's great. And like you said as well, I have been starting to interact a little bit more here and there. I did my first post last week and starting to comment a bit more here and there. And yeah, just having that sort of, like I said again, other perspective from a different demographic is always great. Always happy to answer questions to the best of my ability, like I said, about gold mine or anything else. So yeah, a little bit of a shock, but I'm so happy to do it. It's something I love. I love the sport and the team. So yeah, definitely happy to get involved with that.
Well, it's part of our vision. We want the community to kind of grow, and we want the admin team to reflect, as you said, the demographic.
Yeah.
I mean, our love of 49ers has brought us together. You know, I have no problem saying I'm old enough to be your dad. You know, I have teenage girls. And when I was telling them today that, you know, I was doing a Would You Rather with Jessica, and straight away they were like, oh, wow, there's girls in the group. It's like, yes, Kaylee, Jasmine.
Yeah.
And to be fair, a proud dad moment for me is when we were in Leeds watching the Super Bowl. Kaylee and Jasmine were with the dad, and they ended up staying up watching the Super Bowl. I think they were blagging it for a late night, but they were watching the footage on Sky Sports. And at the end of it, Kaylee texted me, who's 17, and was like, I'm hooked. I love this game. I am watching every game with you. Now, my mum's thinking, is she staying up because she's staying up to be on her phone with her boyfriend? But she's maintained it so far. She's still got the poster up in the bedroom. I mean, Jasmine has always shown an interest. She plays fantasy football with me. So, no, I just wanted to finish off on there. So, Red Jet Shell has put there that she loves this community. We may get upset. It's not toxic. Everyone has their opinions. And she's put there the key word is respect.
Definitely.
Was there anything you wanted to share that I haven't asked you before we finish off? Because I'm aware that we've flown through, like I said to you off air, 57 minutes in. I could happily talk for another hour, but I'm conscious it's approaching 9 o'clock. Was there anything about your journey to where you've started to now that you haven't shared that you wanted to share?
No, I don't think so, to be honest. I mean, like I said, I'm always happy. I'll do a post and post some old pictures later, and always happy if someone even fancies a chat, always happy to just share more of my story, or if anybody else wants to talk about their story. And again, always, I love seeing younger people getting into it, whether it's girls or not. But again, a big part even of me playing soccer and coaching and that kind of thing was getting more girls into it. So I love that aspect of thing. Love hearing about your girls loving it as well. Yeah.
So I'm not the only proud girl dad in the group. So the Eric Oregard, who was with us last week, he is a Swiftie dad. He is in Madrid, Spain at the moment. Go check out his social media. He's getting those brownie points with his girls. He's taking them to see Taylor Swift. Connor Ryan, Lee Gowland are also Swifties. I'm name checking them, Jessica, because Kaylee and Jasmine are absolutely devastated that they're not getting to see Taylor Swift. Now, despite her love for Travis Kelce, my two have still remained firm to the 49ers, which has made me proud. Now, I was getting a little bit nervous because Lee flashed up at the bottom, which you'll have saw the same as me, and I thought, oh, God, is he coming on to tell me off? So he sent me a message. You'll probably be aware that we've hit 1,000 subs on YouTube and we've hit the watch hours. So what it means by that now, Jessica, is people can leave us super chats, which means the comments that I'm putting up on the screen, some people can pay to have their comment highlighted. Now, we do appreciate that, blown away by the fact that we get super chats, but YouTube takes 30% of those. So if people are wanting to support the channel, Lee's just pointed out that we have a tip jar, which has been added to the link on here. So I'm not saying people have to, but it's well known that we don't run this for profit. The StreamYard license comes out of the 4 content creators' pockets. Lee himself is probably owed lots of money by the group for the flags and stuff. So I think I've got that right. You wanted me to mention that. If you want any more details, please do hit me up. Now, we will be back next week. We don't have a topic in mind, and I don't have a guest lined up, but we will be running in the off season. I would love to have you back on, but I have kept you for 2 weeks now, Jessica, so you can have some well-earned rest next week. Thank you for joining me. I've had a blast as always. Please make sure to switch on those notifications, keep an eye on social media, we will be running a couple of competitions. A group member has kindly donated a hoodie. We've got a hat, and we've got another Joe Staley bobblehead to give away. So keep an eye out on those notifications. Please tell your friends. Please like and subscribe. But all that is left for me to say, and I'm just going to get the right video, Jessica, is stay safe and go Niners.
We love the San Francisco 49ers deep in the heart. Like Joe Montana in the corner, deep Clark. Garrison Hurst, stiff farm going 99. Don't get it twisted, one and all with prime time. John Taylor, Jerry.